Welcome back to the channel. I'm Rochelle. This is Brampton Gardener, and today we are into part 2, planters. So I am going to do a breakdown on what my planters ended up costing me, because this is a series on how we can improve our gardens next year and how we can save money doing it. So without further ado, let's go check out some of these fantastic planters, because they did amazing this year. I cannot believe how well they did, especially when we had so much heat. The fact that I was actually able to keep them watered was pretty much a miracle, especially in that Dollar Tree stacking planter. Like, I don't know how it survived. I think it's because the begonias really don't need a ton of water, so that was fantastic. So let's go check them out. Right, now this turned out to be one of my favorite planters this year. It has just done great up here at the top. So let's break down the cost on this. I used the Dollar Tree stacking containers. I've had these for about 3 or 4 years now. I haven't had any issues with them, no cracking. I stack them, these are about 6 high, and in the middle I just run, you can see it down there, a metal post down through the middle, and that goes down into the ground, because I don't know if you can tell, but this is on a pretty steep hill, and I have the bottom wedged up with some bricks. I'll show some pictures of it like as I planted it up, so you'll be able to see that better. But notice how densely this is packed. We've got begonias everywhere, right? So I'm gonna come in, I'm gonna calculate how many, I'll count them up, I won't do that on camera. But then back here, this is one giant coleus here. And I think there's another one in the pot down below that. And then we have the canna here. Every single thing in this container, I grew from seed. And this is just the ground cover I pulled out of the ground and kind of tucked into a few spots. I grew the begonias from seed, I grew the coleus from seed, and I grew the cannas from seed. I also had saved the seeds off of my plants, and these geraniums were off a neighbor's plants, so I didn't even pay for any of the seeds that went into this. And I believe the seeds for this I got in a seed swap, but even then you're not looking at a ton of money for canna seeds, especially when you can save them yourself for the next year. So I'm going to do a cost breakdown on what this would have been if I had to pay regular prices, and then what my cost was. So I managed to cram 14 plants in there. At my cost, it was only $1.40, but if I bought them from the store, it would have been anywhere from $15 to $24, depending on if you could get them on sale. Time out. Editing me, I realize that you might be kind of confused on the pricing. Like, where did I come up with these prices? They might seem high to you, they might seem low to you. Keep in mind, I am in Brampton, Ontario, which is in Canada, so these prices are Canadian. We have 13% sales tax on everything, so that adds to the costs of things. And this was based on what I could find this spring. So costs have very, I would say, almost doubled in the past couple of years. Like, they have just gone up exponentially, and so that is what happened here. So if you stay to the end of the video, I will explain a little bit more of the cost breakdown and how I came out to what all that was. But back to the video. All right, and now we're going to do a cost breakdown on this planter, which, I don't know, it's like 10 feet tall at this point. The top of these cannas is insane. So these are canna bulbs that I have saved and stored year after year after year. Pot them up in the spring and then plant them into my planters. Okay, so what is in here? We have several cannas, because I just kind of shoved them all in. We have a 4 o'clock that's self-seeded into the container. We have geraniums that I overwintered in the garage, dry root in with the cannas. And then I have another geranium on that side. But I do have 2 store-bought items in there. This is the pink bubblegum petunia, super petunia from Proven Winners. I paid $5 for that. And this is the Prince Tut grass that I also bought, also Proven Winners. I bought, it was 2 for $10. So this one I divided in half. So $5 for this, $2.50 for this, and the rest of the planter is all stuff that I seeded or overwintered. So here is what it looked like when I started. It was actually looking really sparse, but definitely one of my pricier planters, and it filled out beautifully. So there you can see how big it is. I mean, that's a really big pot. Okay, and then over here to this pot. This might be my most expensive one, because I did buy the 2 different sweet potato vines. I really like the contrast and how they grow together. I've had to prune this one back quite a few times. It's doing really good. The coleus are all from seed. The petunias are all from seed. The cannas, these are from tubers And the lighter colored green ones are also from seed. But I did have to pay for the sweet potato vine and the impatiens. So here's a little clip of me actually planting this one up, and you can see the sizes of the different cannas and all the little plants going in. It was very tiny going in at first, and I really, really crammed this one full. It was in the shade, and I thought, oh, it's not going to get that big, but oh my goodness, it did amazing. It did such a great job, and I'm glad I put as many plants in there as I did. And I was only able to do that because I grew them all from seed, because the cost savings on this planter was pretty impressive, if I say so myself. And here's the official breakdown. Ouch! I knew this was going to be my most expensive planter, but it really paid off. Can you see how big it is? I mean, it's a big pot that I actually got for free, so that's awesome too. But it's very tall. Like, there's the fence, and it's like going up. These cannas are amazing, and I've had these same canna tubers. Oh my goodness, I don't know how long now. Probably 10 or 12 years. I lost my entire stock when I was pregnant because I was not well enough to like dig them up and do all of that when I was pregnant. And so I had to start all over again with a new set, and now I have just way too many. I just end up popping them everywhere in the ground. That's all from seed. So it's all from seed. We got the tickle pink climbing petunias. We have the alyssum. It's like a purple. It's really pretty, purple and white alyssum. Mahogany splendor hibiscus, and then the cannas from tubers. And here these ones are getting potted up as well. It's amazing to me the difference in how quickly these planters grow and fill out. Now this one I did have a zucchini in the front, and it got enormous, and I got a lot of really great zucchini off of that. And then the other planters all had some kind of squash, but similar breakdowns in the planters. Similar plantings on these, except for these. I have these fantastic, these are the superbissima purple. Oh, that one's gotten et. Okay, that one's getting eaten alive. They're so pretty though. These are the seeds from Baker Creek. I look inside, look at like the stamens inside, like even those are really pretty. The little swirls, very cool. And then in this one, I really like the color on these petunias. They're really cute. They're kind of like a pinky salmony color with a nice little white tip to the edges. So I'm going to be coming in and saving seeds off of everything again. This alyssum has done really good this year. The squash, not so much. We do have a kale in here. I had to pull the plant, but we have these two that kind of came on it. But I mean, to fill, you know, planters that size, and I had to pull the squash off of here, that's why it's empty on this side, but to fill planters that size would have cost a fortune. What do you think, Dex? How are you doing this morning? You're looking kind of sleepy. Did you not sleep very good last night? Are you tired? Oh, sorry. And just one final example here would be my 3 hanging baskets. I managed to cram 20 plants in each of these, and it cost me only $2 as opposed to $15 to $20 depending on the price, if I could get some of those plants on sale. As I was going through and doing all these pictures and comparing the photos of the cost per plant for me versus store-bought, I just kind of wanted to explain how I came about those numbers. So I broke down the numbers for the store-bought based on the cost of plants that I saw here in the GTA, which is the Greater Toronto Area in Canada. So keep in mind these prices are all in Canadian. And the flats, so like a flat of 48 was like $40 a flat was like the regular price. Sometimes you might see it for 30 on sale, but I found it was very hard to find them. Didn't see very many of the flats. I finally did find my one flat of the impatiens that I bought, but otherwise mainly it was a lot of 6-packs. So they were doing a lot of 6-packs of annuals for $10. And then there was also a lot of 4-inch pots. So 4-inch containers for like geraniums especially. I didn't see any like of the cell packs. I saw the 4-inch pots, and those were at the cheapest. I saw those for $4 each. And then they ranged up to $6 for like the proven winners. I did buy the 2 proven winners plants though for 2 for $10. So I got them for $5 each. So that's, I'm kind of trying to be fair on those prices. That's what we were paying. And keep in mind that here in Ontario, we pay 13% tax on everything we purchase. So that's on top. So that's a kind of, these prices are actually on the low end. I was being as conservative as possible on these prices. It could easily double depending on where you were buying your plants. For the canna lilies, they're all over the map. So if you were buying them like at like a local plant sale, you might be able to get like a big pot for $5. Most of like the larger pots I saw, like, and I'm saying larger, they're like maybe a 4 or 6 inch, and they were around $10 each. For larger ones, they were closer to 15 to 20 for just like a thing of cannas in it. If you bought a package of the bulbs or the tubers, like say at Costco, then maybe you could break it down to maybe $3 per tuber, but then you have to factor in the amount of soil and all that if you pre-started them. So I just kind of went across the board with like $5, anywhere from $3 to $5, depending on the size of the cannas I had, because some of them were from seed, so they were a bit smaller. These cannas I've had for the past probably 15 years, 14, 15 years. I've had the same batch of cannas, and they just get more and more each year of the big red ones. Any of the smaller ones that had like the green leaves, those are all from seed. So that's where I got those. And most of those seeds were in a seed swap. I never paid for the seeds. So figuring out the cost for the ones I grew from seed was way more difficult, because yes, I did buy a lot of seeds last year, but very rarely do you like use a full seed packet. So say for like the petunias or the impatiens or things like that, then yes, I will use pretty much the whole seed packet. And I'm looking at anywhere from $2 to $4 for a package of seeds with like 50 in them. Most of the time though, on a lot of the like begonias and the petunias and all of those things, they were from seeds that I had saved myself. So the only petunias I used from seed last year were the superbissima, and that was a package from 2 years ago from Baker Creek. And the other was the tickled pink climbing petunias that I bought from TNT Seeds, I think it was. And so I will be saving seeds off of those if I can. If not, I will have to buy those packages of seeds. But the majority of things that I grew were all from seeds that I had saved myself, or seeds from seed swaps. So the seeds that I bought were a lot of the veggie seeds, but like lettuce, you buy a package of lettuce seeds and there's like 1,000 seeds in there, right? So it's going to last you over the year. So trying to do that price breakdown is quite difficult. So what I did do for my seeds that I started myself, I did run it through ChatGPT, and I kind of explained the process I was using, and thankfully it understood soil blocks and how that works. And so I just input how many bags of soil I went through. I went through 2 of the 42-liter bags of indoor potting mix for my soil blocks. Math for me. And it came out to under 10 cents per plant by using mainly my own saved seeds, all trays and everything that I already have. I didn't have to purchase. That includes the electricity, which it figured out the kilowatt hours of the grow lights for the time I used them. Like, it was pretty impressive, the breakdown it did. So for the mini soil blocks, it said my cost was 0.7 cents. So it wasn't even 1 penny for the 3/4 inch blocks. And then for the 2-inch soil blocks, it cost me under 10 cents. It was like 0.9. So I factor most of them kind of go in. So I just went with a straight 10 cents across the board. And that kind of was factoring in buying seeds and saving. So we're within like a penny either way. So I feel that that was a pretty decent evaluation. I do use the soil blocks. The soil blocker, I paid $80 for the double set 5 years ago, and I've used them for the past 5 years. So if you start to do the cost breakdown of that as well, it's going to be $10 a year soon, and divided by, thousands of seedlings, this explains the cost breakdown. So when you're watching the video, don't freak out and be like, where is she coming up with these costs? Oh, it only cost me this and that. Yeah, like in previous years, you could go and easily buy a whole flat of petunias for $15, $18, but the last 2 years, the prices have just jumped tremendously. So yeah, crazy. So even at that, I mean, it's still a lot more than 10 cents per plant. So that explains the plant breakdown. If you kind of wanted to know how I went around that. So anyways, thank Thank you so much for watching. I hope this video has been informative, and we will see you in the next one where we talk more about saving seeds yourself.